Ladies and gentlemen, Trump is at it again. He just posted this. Iran's military is a complete and total mess. Much of it, like their navy and air force, doesn't even exist anymore. They have been completely defeated. Iran is all talk and no action. The bully of the Middle East is dead. They've taken too long to negotiate a deal that would have been great for them. Now they will have to pay the price. It's like he's a child. Now they have to pay the price. You know, we were told that a deal is imminent. Every day we're told a deal is imminent for the past more than 30 plus days. And now he's saying he's going to have to go back into attacking Iran because they're delaying it. The reality is that Iran is not delaying anything. They have been very consistent on what they want. They haven't changed anything they've been saying. It's the US that cannot accept the reality that didn't achieve their objectives in Iran. The government is still in power. They couldn't get the nuclear material. They couldn't destroy their missile capability. And so US threw everything it had on Iran, and yet it couldn't achieve any of those things. And it's Iran who's coming out as the winner of the silly maneuver by Trump, being convinced by Benjamin Netanyahu that this will be a very easy couple days, weekend job to do regime change. And that is what's delaying the peace process. It's the fact that Trump cannot accept giving Iran their own money that the US has frozen, this frozen assets of $24 billion. How could he accept that, given that he's made fun of Obama for giving Iran only less than $2 billion? He keeps on making fun of that. Now, I thought maybe there would be a deal whereby, he would say, we didn't give Iran the money that Iran has in Qatar or in the UAE. Those countries are going to give it to Iran. It has nothing to do with the US. Maybe kind of sell it in that way. But everyone will know that the US basically approved and processed the unfreezing of Iran's assets of $24 billion, which is what Iran is requesting as part of this process. They said basically $12 billion. As soon as we sign the MOU, in fact, before we sign the MOU, we need that $12 billion. And then as every party meets their own conditions, the other $12 billion is released. Granted that there's $100 billion plus of Iran's assets being frozen by the US. So this isn't even, this is less than a quarter of Iran's frozen assets that the US must release. This is Iran's money, by the way. And the other part where Trump has no control over, even though he's portraying that he does have control over, is Lebanon. Iran said from the beginning, from when the ceasefire was announced, as was confirmed by Pakistan, the mediators, that Lebanon is part of the ceasefire. Now Iran is saying Gaza, we were trying to include Gaza. I'm not sure if they're going to get that. But Lebanon is definitely part of the ceasefire, which means that Israel has to stop fighting in Lebanon, which means that Israel has to leave Lebanon because right now they're occupying Lebanon, and Hezbollah in Lebanon is not going to stop pushing Israel out of Lebanon. So that fighting is going to happen. So it's very hard to achieve a ceasefire in Lebanon if Israel is occupying Lebanon. And in that message, he says that, Iran, the bully of the Middle East, is done and there's no more, it's very weak. Trump is saying Iran is weak in the same week that Iran did something that has never, ever done, which is directly attack Israel in retaliation to Israel, not attacking Iran, but attacking Beirut, the capital of Lebanon. Israel announced that they're going to level parts of Beirut, Lebanon. And no one said anything about this. And Iran basically came on and said, if you attack Beirut, we will retaliate and attack Israel directly. Now, Israel thought that was a big bluff. So they did a check, which is to attack what they said is a Hezbollah building in Beirut. Some people did die and some were injured. And Iran directly attacked Israel. They attacked their airbase. And then Israel attacked some areas in Iran. They even attacked a petrochemical facility. And Iran retaliated and attacked Israel in a also petrochemical facility and also the parts of the airbase in the central of Israel and the north of Israel. But the message is that Iran is going on the offensive now. It's not playing defense anymore. It's coming in... it's risking a lot by coming into this, it's risking the agreement with the U.S., but it's coming to support its ally Hezbollah. This is the new Iran. The U.S. has kind of almost awoken a giant that was sleeping. It was always playing on the defense. It didn't want to be shown or seen as the aggressor, because in the media, they always portray Iran as the head of the octopus that's creating all this instability in the region. Well, the reality is that it had the capability to close the Strait of Hormuz, to cause destruction and damage across the region, but it never did any of that until it was attacked during negotiation, during diplomacy, where they wanted to get into an agreement with the U.S. to create peace in the region, long-standing peace, which they've already agreed with the U.S. until Trump came and ripped that Obama deal. But diplomacy never worked for Iran. That's the problem, that the U.S. created the situation where now Iran believes that being aggressive only works with the U.S., because diplomacy never did work with the U.S. And so any area where there are U.S. bases, especially that are being used to attack Iran, that those areas are going to be attacked. And now you're seeing, for example, Saudi Arabia not being attacked anymore, Qatar not being attacked anymore. Oman never really was attacked, but it's just Kuwait, Bahrain, and Jordan. Those areas what Iran is saying is that those areas are being used to carry out attacks against Iran, whether that's in the Strait of Hormuz or on land in Iran. But Iran is now acting as the regional power because it's coming to the aid at its own cost, to the aid of its allies. This is a big issue for Israel because now, before, when Israel wanted to carry out any attacks in Beirut, it had impunity. It could do whatever it wanted to do. No one was going to stop it, right? Europe will say, bad Israel, you shouldn't be doing that, but that's it. No one can do anything. If we put anything in the UN Resolution Council, it will be vetoed by the US. But now the equation is completely different. Every time Israel is going to carry out attack on Beirut, they have to consider what is the retaliation of not just Hezbollah, but Iran. Iran has opened the door now and is able to strike Israel directly until there is a ceasefire. A ceasefire where Israel is going to abide by, which is very difficult. We've never seen Israel abide by ceasefires before. During the ceasefire with Hezbollah in the past 1 year plus, they broke that ceasefire. Israel did numerous times. And of course, with Gaza, they always break the ceasefire. So that's a new Middle East with a new regional power. And so there's two areas where Trump is going to find it very difficult to accept the terms, which is basically giving Iran their own money. But, in the US, that's going to be seen as giving Iran money. And especially that given he makes fun of Obama all the time about all the plane full of cash that went to Iran. Well, he's going to have to do that or process that somehow. And then the ceasefire in Lebanon, where he's going to have to control Benjamin Netanyahu, which we know he's unable to do because Benjamin has to think also about his political career. There's a clash. For Trump, he needs to end the war as soon as possible because the longer this takes, the higher the oil prices are going to go, the more pressure on the economy, and that's going to be devastating for his midterm elections for the Republican Party. For Benjamin Netanyahu, it's the opposite. He needs to escalate. That's what his party wants him to do. That's what, surprisingly, for some people and unsurprisingly for others, that's what Israelis want him to do, is to escalate in Lebanon, to cause more devastation. How is Benjamin Netanyahu going to accept a ceasefire, especially leaving Lebanon, when he's lost so many soldiers and so many injured? There's more than 1,000 injured soldiers just for the past couple of weeks. There's a clash between what Trump wants, which is a quick win out, whether that is through diplomacy or what we're seeing right now, which is, again, war, as if war is going to achieve something now, given that it hasn't achieved anything in the initial stage of that war, when the U.S. threw everything it had on Iran. And Benjamin Netanyahu that needs to escalate to win his election in October. But Trump believes that the longer this goes, the more pressure there is, not on the U.S. economy, but on Iran itself. Because there's a U.S. blockade, obviously, and so his view is that there's no oil coming out of Iran, and therefore they're losing a lot of money. And so the economy is going to crumble even further, and the government is going to have to be able to pay anyone. There's going to be oil facility shut-ins. Well, here's the issue. Iran is now actually making more money from its oil sales than before the war. Before the war, Iran had to give a $10 discount to the market price because Iran's oil was sanctioned. So the market price, before the war was around 64 during the first part of the year. $10 discount, that means it's $54. That's what Iran can sell. However, now, because the U.S. have unsanctioned Iranian oil on sea, it doesn't have to give that discount anymore. And Iran has more than in April, it was estimated that Iran has 160 million barrels of oil at sea. This means oil in floating storage that is outside of the Strait of Hormuz, or tankers that hold oil outside of the Strait of Hormuz. So it's 160 million in April. That it could sell this oil at no discount. So it can sell it at market price. And the post-war oil is much higher than the pre-war oil. Right in May, for example, the average price of oil was about $104. It's estimated that out of that floating storage, or the oil on sea, Iran was able to export or to sell about 1.1 million barrels a day. It's also estimated that Iran right now is able to sell 250,000 barrels a day through land routes. So this is not through the Strait of Hormuz, through the sea, but through land, through its borders. So that's 1.35 million barrels a day it could sell right now. And it has been in May, even throughout the U.S. blockade. $104 per barrel times 1.35 million barrels a day of sold oil is more than $139 million a day that Iran's making from its oil. Compare that to pre-war, where Iran was selling a barrel of oil at $54 because of that $10 discount. It was selling about 1.5 million barrels a day, so a bit higher than now. That's $81 million a day compared to pre-war, compared to $130 million a day right now because of the much higher price of oil and the unsanctioned oil of Iran on sea. So Iran can go for longer. And Iran, this is an attack on their country, so they can withstand the pressure. Unlike the US, where this war is not very popular at all. And the economic impact hasn't really been felt yet, because what's kind of keeping prices of oil lower is the strategic reserves and the commercial storage. So this is the storage where it's storage of oil that is kept for extreme situations right now, where they'll release it, so they'll increase the supply, so that it reduces the price of oil. But this storage is limited. We don't have an infinite amount of oil in the storage that could be used and released to dampen prices. This is the U.S. commercial crude storage. So this is about, right now, we're at 425 million barrels. Look at this drop. This is the yellow line is the 2026. Look at that drop, how steep that drop is. And soon we're going to reach levels below. So next week, we're going to reach levels below the 2022, which is when the Russia-Ukraine war occurred. Once it reaches this blue square over here, this is the minimal amount that is required in the storage so that it operates. It's expected that we cannot go lower than this. So, for example, there needs to be some oil in the pipelines, in the storage itself. We cannot deplete completely because the roof will kind of fall into, it's a floating roof. So it has a certain amount, it has to be above the ground. Otherwise there'll be damage. It's things like that. We're expected to reach that level at the end of 31st of July, 2026, where we're going to hit the minimum amounts required for operations. And after that, we can't use the storage for the U.S. commercial storage to inject into the system to reduce the prices. And we have the same story with the total liquid stockpile with the strategic reserves. Look at this drop over here again to the 31st of July. We expect to go below the 1.4 billion, which is I don't know how much more we can push from there because we haven't really tested this. We're already next week, we're going to be in the lowest with respect to the strategic reserves of the US. The lowest amount of oil in the strategic reserve since 1983. Remember, this is being used to keep oil prices low. We're using the oil from the storage to inject into the system. But that has a finite amount and time for this. Once this is depleted, we can't do this anymore. And therefore, now we're going to be stuck with whatever oil we actually have to be able to extract from the ground itself, not from storage. That's when we're going to be in big trouble. So the 31st of July is when really where everyone's going to know for sure that we are in big trouble. So Trump has to conclude this before then, because he's not going to be able to have a tool available to suppress the prices as he has right now. So is Trump going to restart the war? I just don't see what he's going to be able to achieve by restarting the war that he wasn't able to achieve in the initial part of the war. It's just going to put more pressure on oil prices going up. But the thing is, he can't control Israel. So, even if he gets into an agreement, Israel can just easily blow that up by attacking Beirut, because that's going to make Iran respond, because that was Iran's red line. It wanted a ceasefire across the whole region. Is this another tactic where he's basically showing that, hey, I'm putting pressure and that's why Iran is going to get into a deal because they're very close to a deal? Well, that's just going to push the Iranians away, because they already don't trust the U.S. on anything. And so if they see the U.S., one, they've broken the ceasefire many times by attacking Iran. But two, Trump saying basically he's going to blow up Iran and blow up. There's another one where he said he's going to blow up, or during a Fox News interview, he said basically he's going to blow up the plants and bridges again, compared to what he said before. He said that before. So from the Iranians' perspective, you're basically saying you're going to destroy our country, and you want us to get into an agreement with you, a peace agreement. That doesn't work for the Iranians. And so it's very hard to know what's going to happen. But I think he's going to try to, it's likely that he's going to try to make this go longer, thinking that the longer that we have, the more pressure it's going to have on the Iranians, and they're going to make more concessions, because he just cannot accept the reality that he has to make the concessions, given that he hasn't been able to achieve the objectives, and Iran is now coming out as stronger diplomatically, militarily, and Iran. The lesson for Iran, really, what they have learned is that diplomacy doesn't achieve anything for the Iranians. Military action achieves things. And so that's the issue that we have, is that we have an Iran now that thinks military objectives is what creates, the stability, the long-term stability. You can say that's a problem or not a problem, depending on how Israel and the U.S. is going to react to this, because U.S. is going to challenge Iran as the new regional power. To what extent, to how much they're going to escalate, this is unknown, and we're going to see that. Hopefully we won't see that, but we might see that in the next couple of days. If you did like this video, do hit the like and subscribe, and let us know whether you think Trump is going to restart after all the talk of imminent deal, or he actually has an imminent deal and we're going to see a deal. Thank you very much.